chase you down. Plus they're on the ground. Well, just up and fold. Silver ain't worth its weight in gold. I bet her she's platinum. I've never seen her get that one. All the other fellas getting none. That girl is platinum. Look better with platinum. Diamonds. Better with platinum. Rubies. Better with platinum. I'm dripping in platinum. She is the nexus, her moves perfections, in-laws in Texas, Gulfstream and Lexus. She's ultra-polished, she likes it kind of rough. What she do with those handcuffs ain't none of your business. My girl, she's platinum, all the other fellas getting none. Home runs are platinum. My lady, she's platinum. Yeah, girl, look better with platinum. Diamonds, better with platinum. Rubies, better with platinum. I'm dipped in platinum. I bet her she's platinum. Never seen her give a bad one. All the other fellas getting done. That girl is platinum. I bet her she's platinum. I know she's platinum. Home run, I'm platinum. My baby platinum.
The revolution will be broadcast.
Backroads of America, and live from the G&D Show studio, this is your GhostMan and Demon Hunter show.
Does that sound exciting to you?
Welcome back, everybody. It is Sunday night. This is your mystifying Oracle of Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter radio show. Welcome back to studio, everybody. Hello, hello.
Does that include me, Sean? Am I welcomed back?
It does. Oh, my God. Yeah, you sound so much better than last week when I had your plugs pulled out on your mic. That sounded terrible.
Usually when I'm plugged in, I actually do sound a little better.
Yeah, you sound so much lighter, so much heavier. I can hear you. You don't sound like an apparition. Ever heard that song?
Filters on my voice right now. When we take off the filters, like this is what I sound like.
I like that song. Put
the filters back on, and I sound great.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, the band tonight, you guys have heard them again, or before on the Ghostman Demon Hunter show. The Mummies, man. The Mummies. HereComeTheMummies.com. Make sure to check them out. That song was platinum. My baby, she's platinum. Those guys got a good song, man. A good sound. I like it. I like the feel. They dress up like mummies. I said mummies last time. But they dress up like mummies. They wrap themselves up, and they got a good sound. You like them? Do you like them?
I like the music, Sean, and I'm not a big music guy. I would much rather sit in a car with a biography on disc and listen to it while I drive than listen to music. But
if you could think of one biography that you would listen to on disc right now, driving all the way across the country to the farthest point from you.
Mark Twain's autobiography.
Who?
Mark Twain's autobiography. How about?
So I was going to say the one autobiography you would masturbate to.
Killing Lincoln.
That's terrible. That is zing. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much. I've had a good week. Have you had a good week, Sean?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm getting ready to head out. Going to leave the studios tomorrow. Got to fly to the plains of Texas, huh?
Again?
Deep in the heart of Texas. Yay. So I got to go out there for a couple days, do some G&D stuff and some GhostMan stuff and get it down and come right back to beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana, where I can pick up my life and go on. Huh?
It's funny. This week I took a trip back down memory lane and went to my hometown of Newton, New Jersey.
Newton, okay.
And just outside of Newton is the little town of Ansonia.
Yeah, okay.
And, I'm sorry, not Ansonia. Ansonia is the little town outside of where I live now. Never mind that. Augusta. Augusta.
Apparently been gone too long.
I've gone a long, long time. Well, it was the first time in 15 years that I got to go back and go to the Sussex County Farm and Horse Show.
Okay.
No big applause or anything there. Okay,
I like the mane and tail. I don't have it queued up. Let's go with that.
Well, basically what it is I grew up on a farm.
Right.
When you're a kid growing up on the farm, there's very little reward for the work you do. I mean, come spring, the animals are born. Come fall, you sell them for meat. You watch your pets, what were basically your pets, get in a truck and go off to get slaughtered.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot of ambition there as a child to do better.
Yeah.
There's no money and no time off, and you really have got nothing to look forward to except your animals getting killed.
Well,
But when you were in the 4-H club, you could do what was called farming for ribbons, and basically you would try to raise the best animal, and before you send it off to get slaughtered, you would take it to the farm and horse show and walk it around a ring and have somebody tell you that you'd done a great job, and they'd give you a ribbon. And so I spent my childhood going to the Sussex County Farm and Horse Show. Mm-hmm. Actually, where I got involved with the carnival and spent my time as a carny. I later, that's where I learned about the rodeo, watched the rodeo for the first time, and said, I have to try that.
The birds and the bees.
Everything that's done damage to my body in one way or another, I learned at the Sussex County Farm and Horse Show. But one thing that I did experience for the very first time when I was down there was the freak show.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I was a kid,
Don't you always love those?
It was a real freak show when I was a kid. You know, it was run by people who looked a little bit different than the rest of us. And you'd go inside and you'd see everything from the two-headed mummy to the two-headed cow and the five-legged dog and the pig that was born with no eyes.
No eyes.
No eyes. You would. This was just how you'd throw a few dollars here and there. The freak show still exists. It's not quite the same. Now it's it's more of the sucker show, if you like, where you'd go in to see the lady whose head is the lady's head on a snake's body,
right.
Kind of. It's all kind of tricks and that stuff. But while I was down there, I decided to. Chrissy P, my lovely wife, and I were down there. She wanted to see the Fiji mermaids.
Yes, mermaids, or they've duplicated.
They had what? Fiji mermaid, And typically in P.T. Barnum style, I went into I paid my money, and
right.
She got to hold this giant python that was in there as we worked our way through the tent. And when we got back, we got to see under glass the dried body of the Fiji mermaid.
Oh.
You know what, Sean? I'm not going to spoil it for people. I didn't take any pictures. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody out there. The freak show exists for a reason, folks. Pay your 50 cents, go behind the curtain and see the Fiji mermaid for yourself. But worth every penny.
Were you allowed to take pictures?
No, they don't like you taking pictures, really. Mm. But I didn't try to sneak in my camera or anything like that. That's kind of like honor among thieves with us in the freak show there, Sean.
With you junkies, right? Well, I've never been in a carny setting per se, but I know that. Were you done with your story? They want to.
Yeah, pretty much. That was the first part. There's nostalgic stories regarding the fair, but that was the freak show story.
Well, see, did you have the smell in the air, the lights, the candy, the cotton candy? You could smell it. Huh?
Everything. You know, I went and ate my favorite foods that had been there when I was a kid. That's where I got addicted to funnel cake. You know, I bought the penny candy and all that fun stuff. And one interesting thing was while we were riding back, Chrissy and I were talking about how kids today don't have, you know, the parents keep their kids on leashes and things like that as they walk them through the park.
Right.
And when we were kids, we were just told if you got out of sight, you were going to get a beating.
Mm-hmm.
So you never got out of your parents' sight.
You're right.
But
Did you get a beating?
You know, when we were kids, we were scared into obeying.
Right.
You remember things like
the belt.
the belt, but like even the public service messages. You know, how did they teach you to brush your teeth? Well, if you didn't, the cavity creeps were going to come and get you.
Yeah, the creeps.
The cavity creeps, and if you know that big scary looking owl would come around and say, you know, Woodsy the owl says.
I seen you getting all nostalgic last night on your Facebook page because I seen Woodsy the owl commercial come on there, and I said, he's getting nostalgic on me.
Well, you know, and you know, I'm sure Smokey the Bear was meant to be like cute and all stuff, but remember Mr. Ick. Mr.
Yes.
Ick not to drink poison.
The Poison Control Center, yeah.
It was just a scary world when we were kids because the idea was people would say your parents aren't always going to be there to protect you, so you should learn to protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
And you know, but now they say, you know, don't ever get out of sight of your parents because your parents always have to be there to protect you.
Yeah, but wasn't that down there by where you're at, New Jersey area? When you went to this, wasn't that where in the movie Big, Tom Hanks got transformed back into a child? Did you see that machine out there?
That was down by the shore.
Yeah,
that was different. I grew up in the country.
Okay, so this was like a traveling actual gypsy carnival.
Yeah,
like it's something.
Part of it exists. Travels with the carnival that
right.
has your typical rides that show up everywhere that carnivals go, but they also bring the freak show and things like that with it.
Now, let me ask you, Demon Hunter, because you're a professional, or at one time, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a professional carny, were you not?
Yes, I was.
Okay, professional carny.
And
now,
beat guys to hold the deal.
Say, no mullet though, right? No mullet.
Oh, I had the mullet.
He's spraying Pam like Dirty Joe Dirt on the fishbowl tops where the balls went. Anyway, so you travel around with these festivals, or are you stationed? That's my question. Do you travel with this carnival? They got you on contract, or do you just stay in the area, and when they come in the area, they put out like a casting call or something like that?
No, you travel with the carnival. The main group of the carnies do travel with it. In fact, if you ever are on the highway and you see the carnival driving by, all the rides and stuff being pulled down the highway.
Sometimes, yeah.
You'll see a Mack truck or two pulled alongside. That seems to have, like, the Mack truck has doors on the side.
Right.
What that is there's like 8 different cabins in that Mack truck, and they just pull. It's like a giant camper van with 8 little camper sites in it, and they sleep in there. Now, when I was riding with the carnival, you slept in the game that you actually worked, because you had to guard the toys and stuff at night to make sure nobody broke in and stole your prizes.
So technically, you were on the clock 24 hours a day during the entire week that the car. Well, you'd have never had time off, except
no. I mean, you usually got one day off, and then between travels, you travel, and usually the first day you get there, there's no setting up, so you have that day off. Then the next day setting up, and then you're on the clock from then on.
You know, I always wondered, when the lights go off, what's a sex life like of the carny? Like at night, you know, because you see a lot of the hot gypsy type girls working there, and you know, like Madame Zelda and stuff after hours. Does stuff get freaky after hours?
I'll tell you, I was a young man between girlfriends, and I got nothing.
Good.
You ruined it. You ruined the whole story. We could have had a book come out of this, you know? A spinoff.
I'm not saying others didn't get it, but I got nothing.
Oh, man. Those are the days, huh? I would have been so crazy. What am I talking about? I just always wondered, because, you know, you go to these festivals and these carnivals and you see all these people and they're looking at you going, leave. You could just tell, you know.
It's but it's a lifestyle traveling with the carnival, and you see guys that are in there. I met a guy recently working a carnival, and when you talk the language, you can stand around and talk with them. And we're sitting there talking, and he was telling me how he had been 59 years old and got kind of pushed into early retirement at his job. And his wife was gone, and his kids were all grown up, and he said, you know what, I'm going to run away with the circus. And he did. He joined the carnival, and, here it is 6 years later, and he's still driving around with the carnival.
And he's loving every minute of it. Well, you see, you can't blame. I mean, why not? If you can get away with it and you can travel around, see the world, and live. Now, did they feed you when you did that, or was it just?
No, they did not feed you. You got paid. And the thing was, I don't know if you've ever seen. There's a movie out there about kids working at like a carnival, and it's like a stationary carnival, like Playland or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're always saying how the rides were what you wanted to work because games sucked, and you wanted to work. If you got rides, you were cool, and if you got games, you were lousy. But when you actually work the carnival, you want to work the games, because guys who work the games get, they work on commission.
Right.
They get a little piece of everything the person they get over there to ride the rides. That's why the guys who have the games are really hawking you to come and play their games, and the guys who ride the rides don't care if you come or not, because they get salary. They get straight pay.
Right.
And so when you work in the carnival, you want to work games.
Well, I remember when I was a kid, I seen a movie called Ghoulies. I think it was the first one or something, and there was I was always, because I grew up in a haunted house, and we had the paranormal backgrounds, you and I both, and I was always fascinated, of course, by the weird and the strange, and when we would go to the carnivals, and I'm sure I'm not alone, the spook house would always be, and it was always just a trailer with a fancy, front to it, but, you'd hear the sounds, and all that, and it always fascinated me, man. I loved going in those things, but I was watching Ghoulies one night on the old Sammy Terry. And here in Indianapolis, he was our late night horror host. And the guy went into this place, and halfway through, the cart breaks down. And all these carnies and the ghoulies come back from the hell or whatever, and they try to get. Have you ever seen Ghoulies? You never seen Ghoulies?
I saw Ghoulies years ago.
Well, that's the one I'm talking about. There's no new ones. That was it.
Wasn't there a remake? There's always a remake.
Yeah, not yet. You just gave Hollywood some new idea.
But it's funny because whenever I go to a carnival, I got to ride the spook house. And I'll say this, they're getting worse and worse every year.
Are they really? You would think they would be like a main attraction now with the ghost craze.
They're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. I mean, you go through, and it's in the pitch black, and basically it's things that jump out at you and scream when they jump out. And half the time, the lights don't work, so when they jump out, you don't see them. Or they're just kind of wiggling around in there. We drove past a guy in the electric chair, and the lights were flickering, but the guy's just laying there because the mechanism's broken,
But see, that's part of the charm, I think, isn't it? They can get away with that.
It definitely is charming. I'll give it that.
Yeah, they can get away with that. If we ran a theme park and that happened, people would be like, if Disney had that, and people went to the Haunted Mansion, and the room didn't shrink, and the foolish mortal voice didn't come on, and people were just like, get in the cart, and you'd see a little blue light every once in a while. Now people would complain.
Well, in Disney, if one little thing goes wrong on the ride stops, and you hear a voice say, "We're sorry for the inconvenience. You stay in your seat. The ride will continue momentarily."
Momentarily.
Out of Peppy.
That's right. Demon Hunter.
Yes.
Listeners around the world, maybe we should get into our next segment, which is tonight's guest.
Dun dun dun.
Tonight's guest, demonologist, author Keith Johnson, guys, also the founder of Near Paranormal out of New England. He's the author of Paranormal Realities 1 and 2. Now, we got Keith on tonight because the obvious, he's a demonologist. He's been all over television, all over radio. So we got some good questions for him. But most importantly, he was one of the first to work on the 1971 case file of the Harrisville haunting, which is now the blockbuster new movie, The Conjuring, that everybody's going crazy over, huh? So we're going to get the behind-the-scenes checklist out, and we're going to see what happened out there at the farmhouse all those many years ago, guys. Tonight, on your G&D show, we go back in the shadows with demonologist Keith Johnson. Johnson. What'd I say, Johnston? Keith Johnson, guys, tonight, demonologist.
Johnston and Johnston. It's the new show on ABC.
No, author, lecturer, founder, Him and his wife, founder of the Near Paranormal, and yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
There you go.
The revolution will be broadcast.
It will.
Will we broadcast over
and over again, apparently. But yeah, so we got Keith Johnson in tonight, and now we've had his cousin or his brother Carl on.
his twin brother.
Yeah, his twin brother.
You confuse them.
Yeah, Carl was on years ago. Carl's a great guy. And,
Carl was our second guest.
Second guest, absolutely.
The first guest we had on the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show that we didn't know.
Yeah, I remember we were doing that in the middle of a snowstorm. And do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I remember that we had done one. He was our second guest.
Yeah.
And
7
we
years
had done
ago.
one show. And we were on Blog Talk Radio at the time. And we'd done one show, and Blog Talk contacted us and said, "We have a guy for you from a TV show. Do you want him to come on your show?" And we were like, "Sure.
Why not?
Why not? It's our second show. We'll give it a try."
He was a great guy, man. Yeah, he is a great guy. But yeah, we look forward to talking to Keith tonight. And it's very interesting, Demon Hunter, because people are losing their minds and over the new movie, The Conjuring. And of course, Keith, and you know this better than me, was one of the first to work on, like I said, the 1971 Harrisville haunting, which is the house that's portrayed in the movie The Conjuring, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, that's what we'll have going on tonight. Then we'll have him stop by and see what he's doing. And I always, I got with you, and you always said I'm not a demonologist, but you know a lot about it.
Well, I being an occultist, I spent a lot of time working with demonologists.
Yes, working with
I learned a lot from a lot of different people.
That's how we always knew when we got together. When I would do things, you'd go, "Oh, don't do that." I'd be like, "Why? Why not touch this evil doll that's spitting out at me?" No, but we joke around and stuff. There is stuff out there, and me and you tracked it down for years, and there's interesting things out there. And we were talking earlier today, Demon Hunter, and we were talking about you don't always see the power of the paranormal, even though it's out there. We know it's out there. We see it all the time, but you don't always see it. So hopefully tonight we can ask that question and many more with our guest Keith Johnson.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to do? You want to go into the news segment?
Do we have to go in the news segment? I didn't read any news tonight, so I'm gonna make a fool of myself again. Well, I guess that's what people come here to listen.
They do, actually. They want to... In the news!
Dun, dun, dun.
Hold on, I got to turn up our music here. Oh, wait. Maybe this is it. Yeah, this is it. And it starts right... no, it starts right now.
Starts right now.
Hold on, I can't believe I didn't... I can't believe... Hold on, I didn't... I don't know where my... Okay, let's try this. Ready? Here we go. It's always fresh. It's always exciting. It's always new. It's hot off the G&D show presses. And it starts right... There you go.
Dun, dun, dun.
See, I got the music for you.
All right, starting right off in the news here, Sean. I'm gonna jump in here with one that I found interesting, of course, because I worked in the theater so many years.
Yeah.
And a discarded New York City theater prop sparked a bomb scare.
Okay.
Okay, a New York City playwright who directed a show called the American Suicide Bomber Association.
Okay.
Unwittingly sparked a bomb scare when he threw a prop from the production in the trash of his home.
Oh, no.
See, when you never know who's going to be digging through your trash. Don't do that.
Right.
Playwright Ethan Fishbane tells the New York Post he wasn't thinking when he discarded the fake bomb while cleaning out his Manhattan apartment on Tuesday. A building superintendent saw the prop the next morning and called the police.
Oh, wow.
That brought the bomb squad.
Bomb squad!
It didn't take long for investigators to figure out what had happened. Fishbane says he was stunned when officers knocked on his door, but he praised the department for their quick response, saying it was wholly appreciated.
Is that the best Ethan could come up with there?
I guess. The 23-year-old wrote the play while attending the New York University School for the Arts. So, okay, like you know, folks, Sean and I pick our news stories each week by the titles. We don't get to read them before we come on the air. So sometimes they're winners, sometimes they're losers. I got to say, this is a middle-of-the-road story. I can see this happening. I really can. And remember, folks, whenever Sean and I make a mistake while reading the news...
Drink up!
That's when the G&D drinking game comes into play. Every time we mispronounce something, you have to take a drink. This, of course, doesn't count if you're currently in your car or going to be listening to us on a podcast in your car or planning to drive immediately after the show, because we make a lot of mistakes and you'll be way too drunk to get home.
We do.
Up, folks.
We do. And especially if you're a teacher, like a grammar teacher, or not grammar, but English teacher or English major.
Grammar school teacher? Maybe?
Yeah, grammar school teacher. Get very upset with the show. I got a news story. This just in that you sent tonight. Lynn Mitchell, Missouri rancher, suspects aliens mutilated her cows.
Okay.
All right. There's a little echoey effect there. Did you hear that echoey effect on you?
I did. Why did you add an echoey effect?
I don't know, but it was amazing. Okay, a Missouri rancher who has found multiple cows mysteriously mutilated thinks aliens could have something to do with the disturbing deaths. Since December of 2011, Lynn Mitchell of Mitchell County, Missouri, has found 3 of her cows mutilated. Demon Hunter, not 2, not 1, but 3.
Okay.
Yeah, according to NBC affiliate KSHB, each animal had various body parts cut off, such as their tongues, ears, udders, and reproductive organs. On July 9th, she found a dead cow with a char mark outlining its body. Apparently the aliens are outlining their dead now, like we do. At crime scene, one July 19th, she found another with its heart exposed and teats. And teats cut off. I love that. That's the farmer's term. Teats. Now, why wouldn't you just say the other word? Is that, you can't say that?
Because they're teats.
Yeah, but you don't call human teats. You know, you say, you don't show teats.
But that's where the term comes from.
Right.
An animal's teats are just that.
Yeah.
You have the udder and the teats.
Let's not church it up, Demon Hunter. Let's not church it up here. Let's just be real with each other. Why don't we? Okay, where am I at here? The local sheriff's department and veteran couldn't provide answers, of course. The more it happens, the more questions you get. And the more you learn, you find more and more things that make you ask more questions, she told KSHB. CBS St. Louis KMOX notes that police are not ruling out the possibility of aliens. We're having to look at this from two sides. Robert Hills, Henry County Sheriff's deputy, told the network. Some people believe that there are aliens that are involved in this, or the possibility of the occult going to the other end of the spectrum. We've talked to other people that say that they just want the cows. They talk to other people that say that just when cows die, that's what happens to their bodies. We know that there have been quite a few deaths of cattle this year in Missouri due to the fungus that may have led to these animals' deaths, he added. We're just not able to determine what the cause of death is at this time. There you go, guys. Huh? There you go.
What do you think there, Sean?
Once again, guys, that comes out of the special thanks to our friends at the Huffington Post. We love it. Lynn Mitchell, Missouri rancher, suspects aliens mutilated her cows. I don't know. I watched some of those, Demon Hunter, and some of them talked about. I watched the documentary, and the guy had talked about when the cows die, something with their organs, something internally. I don't know how they rot. So apparently, there's a different way that the breakdown of the animal itself happens. Like the intestines and stuff come out the rear, and it's pretty nasty, actually. And it secretes this, lets off this chemical that. So I'm not sure. I've never seen a dead cow laying out in the field for any amount of time. You know what I mean?
You know what? We'll have to get some answers from this. We'll send this article to my brother.
Yes.
An agricultural engineer for the state of South Carolina.
Okay.
And we'll see what he says about it. Because I have heard about, cows die. They lay out in the sun. They bloat. Their bellies split open like they've been sliced right apart. But the missing teats and things like that.
The teats is what got me, my friend.
I figured that.
The teats. They should not be missing the teats. Everybody, the teats should be there. Wonder if they found you with your minus your teats. You know?
Have any teats?
Hey, this was a pretty good one. You got one queued up?
I do, but I'll let you go.
Well, this was out your way. Which one were you going to do? You go ahead. Tell me that.
The Nevada woman.
Okay, how about Shark Found at Pub?
I actually was hoping you'd read that story.
Okay. Well, I seen this, and it was out, kind of out your way, and, you know, I was looking at it.
It takes place in Nantucket, and that's where that shark actually bumped into me.
Yeah, we'll see. He got his, apparently.
I guess so.
Apparently some bully said, hey, are you that? We heard about that on the G&D show. Are you that one? No! Anyway, Shark Found at Pub Door on Nantucket. Sea Dog owner. The Sea Dog owner is perplexed.
Have a drink.
Have a drink, guys. Anyway, this pub owner found this shark out front, right? This comes out of Nantucket, Massachusetts. A cleaning crew has found an unexpected mess after arriving at Sea Dog Brew Pub on Nantucket. A 5-foot-long shark was blocking the door. 5 foot long, Demon Hunter, not no baby shark. Yeah. Pub manager Jimmy Agnew says he doesn't know why anyone would have dumped a sea creature there. Nantucket's Public Works Department hauled the dead shark away after its discovery around 7 a.m. Thursday. So that's pretty good. So they found that. I wonder what time they found it. Because if their Public Works Department picked it up around 7, I can't even get my trash picked up once a week. So can you? I can't though. Anyway, they picked it up around 7 a.m. But Agnew said the pub fielded calls all day after word got out about the land shark. He said a comedian whose band performs at the pub also posted a series of jokes about it on Facebook. One suggested the shark went to Sea Dog to meet his chums. That's all I got. So they found that's weird. A 5 foot long shark just dead laying at your doorstep. Now, do you think it could have been some type of it couldn't have been a hurricane or a tornado or anything like that?
No. I have actually read other reports that came out just recently that said that the shark, which you can tell it's a male shark there.
Actually, I couldn't, but okay.
Was probably left by a disgruntled guest of the pub who argued probably over his tab and was asked to leave. So they're questioning that gentleman now.
Is that what you guys do out that way? You go catch sharks and...
anything to get those sharks, I'll tell you, man. They're dangerous monsters.
How big was the one that bumped into you when you were in his living room there in the ocean?
About 5 or 6 feet, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So probably about 6 to 7 feet. So it wasn't the same shark. Maybe this was the child of the shark. Actually, the shark that bumped into me had a black... darker kind of fin. And I actually, unfortunately, now I don't have the information here. It's kind of ticking me off. But I actually looked up what kind of shark it was.
Yeah.
And the actual shark that they found appears in the shores around Hawaii.
Huh.
Not in the Atlantic Ocean. So it just goes to show you, because people, when I got bumped by that shark, people just kept saying, in Nantucket, sharks don't swim around Nantucket. And I was like, well, trust me, they swim around Nantucket.
Well, back in the day, if Shark Week's getting ready to start up, I think Thursday this week or whatever. And
actually, today, Shark Week starts today.
It's today then. Dad, were you kidding? It's Shark Week. We used to have that queued up.
Hey, let's get this show done. Shark Week starts.
Yeah, Shark Week's on. My God, man. But no, I was watching something and it actually talked about a great white attack back in the 20s or 30s, I think, in that area. In the early 1900s, the New Jersey shore attacks, which the movie Jaws is actually loosely based on. Okay. But the thing is that the sharks that attacked, they only identified one actually as a great white. They believe the rest might have actually been bull sharks. Bull sharks, okay. They still bit a kid in half, though, you know. One of the attacks actually occurred up a stream. Right. Of brackish water, which a great white shark would have had a little trouble swimming in. Right. Well, I don't know. Good night.
But no, this is definitely, I did get bumped by a shark off of Nantucket, so they're out there.
Did you go to the bathroom a little when you were?
I went to the bathroom a lot.
I would have too. I would have
swam in that water after that, and it wasn't because of the shark. Let me tell you.
Let's pick it up in here, baby. Yeah. You want me to read the next one?
Do you want to read the next one? Because I was going to talk about the woman that gave birth in a subway restroom in Nevada.
Oh my goodness! Let's hear that one.
This is from Associated Press, brought to us by ABC News. A 21-year-old woman in Nevada has given birth to a boy on a Subway restaurant restroom floor, where managers quickly placed sandwich wrappers and trash bags for sanitation before the baby was born.
Out of Pepe!
What's his name? Subway.
Out of Pepe!
Jokes works in more than one way.
It's Eat fresh. Oh!
Assistant manager Flora Vegas says that the woman entered the restroom Friday in Maiden, 40 miles south of Reno, about 9:30 a.m. Screamed she was in labor and raced to the women's restroom.
Oh my God, man!
Have a drink, folks. She entered the restaurant and then screamed and ran into the restroom. I bet that kid gets free sandwiches for life.
I'm ready for sex.
Vegas says the woman gave birth.
No Cokes, though.
I'm seeing Nevada. I kept seeing Vegas. Vargas said, have a drink, folks. Vargas says the woman gave birth within several minutes of coming into the business.
Yeah.
It was a relief that both the mother and baby appeared healthy after the birth.
Right.
Of course, everybody lost their appetite. Vargas says that it was fortunate that paramedics arrived immediately after the birth.
Yeah.
Paramedics took the mother and the baby to Carson Toha Regional Medical Center.
Was that it?
That's it.
Oh my God.
Hey, you know what? I didn't make fun of your lame shark story. Go ahead.
Why was it lame? Shark story. I mean, it was slow, but I wouldn't go as far as saying lame. Okay, guys, this is a good one, Demon Hunter. You sent. I appreciate it. Special thanks to our good friends at the Huffington Post again. Geraldo Ramos passes out drunk, wakes up with no penis. Did you see this one, Demon Hunter?
I did. I sent it to you specifically because I figured you could relate.
Well, you're on fire tonight, buddy. Hey, Geraldo, whatever you want to say, Ramos passes out drunk, wakes up with no penis. Okay, guys, here we go. And you thought losing your car keys was bad. Dominican man Geraldo Ramos, told local TV station Noticia, drink up guys, Noticia Sin this week that he passed out drunk and woke up with no penis. The 45-year-old from Santiago, I like saying that, it's fun for everybody. The 45-year-old from Santiago says he has no clue where his penis went, but neighbors told the station that Ramos was attacked by a dog when he was drunk. Oh my God, man. No. Ramos.
I don't care how drunk I am, I would remember that.
Oh my God. That gets too hoo-ah. The 45-year-old from Santiago says he has no clue where his penis went, but neighbors told the station that Ramos was attacked by the dog when he was drunk. So apparently the neighbors just watched the dog eat his penis without waking him up.
If you see a penis-eating dog attack you really jump in and try and help.
Have you seen Spot? Ramos, however, has no recollection of this. The alleged dog has not been found. So be on the lookout for that, Demon Hunter. If a dog did take his penis, it wouldn't be the first time in recent weeks that a dog has made off with a man's genitalia. Apparently, this is an ongoing thing. In late July, forget about shark attacks, man. In late July, a paralyzed man in Arkansas woke up to discover that his canine companion had eaten off one of his testicles. Oh, where do you get these stories, man? Oh, that's great. That's not to say that dogs don't sometimes devour G-rated body parts. In June, a dog in Brazil, Indiana, chewed off his owner's toe. Doctors believe the animal, a pit bull puppy named Bo, was trying to help the man who was suffering from a severe foot infection. So, thanks, Bo. I'm not sure about the penis and ball eater. Can you say that?
I'm wondering what infection that man was suffering from that the dog was trying to help.
I don't know. My God, man.
Oh,
that's
harmful.
This
is the part where, Sean, I'm not actually going to read a story, but it was just this title got me, and I wanted to bring it up so we could discuss it a little.
Yeah?
Dropping $180 for a bird poop facial at New York City Spa.
Those New Yorkers.
There are people paying $180 to have people scrub bird poop on their faces.
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
You like the idea of a bird poop face? You like the fact that somebody figured out a way to get $180 out of these people?
Somebody find out a way to get another 180 out of these idiots. Wow. Can you believe? I mean, think about it, man. You got bird poop everywhere, but if you think about it, you go. I seen this one thing, and they all these people, these yuppies or whatever, they went to this restaurant and they were like, people eat KFC and they eat Hardee's and stuff like that. I can't believe the poor people, the middle class, whatever, right? So you got all these yuppies and they go to this nice restaurant and they sit down. Well, in the back, the chef, they bring out like KFC, McDonald's, stuff like that, but they decorate it up to make it look like a huge entree, right?
Yep.
And they bring it out with the little, designs on it, little ketchup circles around it and stuff. And the people eat it, and they just come unglued. They're like, this is amazing. Oh, my God, I've never had, I think what was one of the things? It was Campbell's soup from, what was it? Campbell's soup and noodles, and they mixed it with like clam chowder, so something disgusting. And they had French fries, and they cut those up and said those were little bread dips or something like that. And the people loved it. They took a survey. Nobody in the room knew when they came back through that it was KFC or McDonald's. So you, that's the thing with these people. They want to spend. They feel good because they're spending $180. There was an actual study done. You feel better when you're spending that money. It's the same thing when you want to go out to eat. You could have a refrigerator full of food, but you're like, oh, babe, whatever. Let's go out and catch a bite to eat. I've worked hard all week. Let's go. Let's do it upright. You know what I'm saying? So you feel better because you go out and eat, and then you feel worse when you spend, $80 for a dinner. But these people are spending $180 for bird poop on their face. Wow.
180. You could get the Nightingale facial for just.
What's Nightingale do to you for $180?
Just 130. Oh my gosh, man.
Nasty.
But I mean, Chrissy's always complaining because I'm a big fan of birds. I have my bird feeders in the backyard. She's always complaining about all the bird poop around. I'm going to explain to her that this is a money-making business going on here.
Now you got to get a little jar, man, and collect stuff. So,
what do you think of the Redneck Olympics coming back?
The Redneck Olympics coming back? I don't know. I don't know. Is it coming back?
It's it's the Redneck replace the Blake Games replace the Redneck Olympics.
Okay, Maine Redneck Blank Games replaces Redneck Olympics. I didn't even know there was a Redneck Olympics.
I never got invited.
And why in the world would Maine? I don't even think Maine had rednecks. I thought that was.
Yes, I'm sure you can find a redneck or two up in Maine, Sean.
Well, maybe. I thought all you upper classes didn't claim to be redneck.
Well, you head out there to the TR, and you can find plenty of them out there.
Yeah. Are you going to read this one, or am I?
Which one's that?
The Redneck Olympics.
You go ahead.
I was going to read that one. Life of a Sideshow Legend, subject of new Kickstarter campaign. I didn't get to look at that. Anyway, guys, Maine, believe it or not, Redneck Blank Games replaces Redneck Olympics. So here we go. This comes out of Hebron, Maine, from the Huffington Post. Despite being forced to changes to its name, the event formerly known as the Redneck Olympic Games continued its tradition Saturday of holding unorthodox competitions like lawnmower races, mud runs, and tire burnouts. Sounds like a regular day at the office to me. A full day of events was on tap during the Maine Redneck Blank Games. Organizer Harold Brooks changed the name under pressure from the International Olympics Committee, but noted that everyone knows what the blank stands for. Friday's event included a wedding and a demolition derby, Other events over the weekend included bobbing for pig's feet. Oh, toilet seat horseshoes, and that gives me a good idea for weddings and stuff. Toilet seat horseshoes and a greased watermelon relay race. I'd love to see that, maybe on YouTube or something. The idea behind the event, Demon Hunters, Brooks says, is that it was to have what amounts to a great big outdoor picnic and pig roast for hardworking people who've earned the right to blow off some steam. Being a redneck, he said, isn't about living in a trailer or getting drunk. A redneck is someone who works hard. They say their neck is red because they work outside. A redneck can make fun of himself and have a good time, says Brooks, who's a general contractor. The Redneck Olympic Games kicked off 3 years ago, but the name was changed after the International Olympic Committee came after him, telling him he couldn't brand his event as an Olympic event. That still doesn't sit well with Brooks because he doesn't think anyone should own the rights to a word. Well, it makes sense, Brooks. I like that. The word was around before they were around, he said, pointing to the Olympics' origins in ancient Greece. If they want to complain, then they should have the Greeks call and tell me to stop using it. I like that. See, that's the redneck mentality. See what I mean? That's because we'll fight you to the death. We'll fight you. I don't know. Am I a redneck? I'm from Indiana. I'm a city kid though, but I think I'm a middle class redneck.
I was a redneck at one point.
I think I'm around enough. I think I'm redneck. I drink moonshine on occasion. That would make me.
That would make you a drunk.
Yeah. No, the comments of Nathan Schoonover, guys. You just peed off half of our listener base there. Oh,
hey,
wow.
Half our listener base knows they're a drunk. They're listening to us read the news so they can drink.
Oh, that's it, man. D&D in the news, Demon Hunter.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Moving right along.
Hey, just a throw out there, Sean. This week, thanks to the the Zombie Research Association and the folks over at Midnight Syndicate.
Yes.
There are no zombie alerts this week. We're still safe, folks.
You're welcome, GD Nation.
October is getting closer and closer. Keep an eye out for those zombies. They're sure to come around when kids want to go trick-or-treating and all that stuff.
You know, I didn't get to tell you, Drake's birthday isn't until Thursday. That's my middle son. He's going to be 8 years old. But it was coming down to it, and it's always a last-minute thing with me. Of course, you got the presents and all that stuff, but coming up with an idea. And this year, instead of, taking his advice, because he always says, I want this, I want that, and then kids don't know what they want. They want everything. Tomorrow, they want something else. But I did a Walking Dead themed birthday party for him this weekend.
Very cool.
And it was amazing. I mean, he wore, we dressed him up like the sheriff and just went to the store at the party supply place, got him a little sheriff hat, little sheriff badge, and then I got fake blood all over my hand. I smeared it on his shirt, and he had his little holster with his guns and all that, and I painted up like the zombie. And there's some pictures on our Facebook page there. And yeah, it was a good time, man. He got to... Walking Dead figure.
Dead comes back in October, correct?
Yeah, it actually October 11th weekend, 12th, 13th. So it'll be October 13th is a return of The Walking Dead season 3. Wouldn't it be season 3? Yeah, or season 4. Season 4?
3.2?
I don't know. 2.0, 3.0. I know it's 4.
What happened to the day when they'd film? They would film, 22 episodes, and they'd show them in a row. And then you'd wait 6 months and you'd get another 22 episodes.
Yeah, whatever happened to that?
Now they show like 6 episodes, and then you wait 3 months, and you see another 6 episodes, and then you wait a month and a half, and then you see another 3 episodes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And they take their sweet time with everything. Yeah, 6 episodes isn't a season to me. You know what I mean? 10 would be a season.
It's one of the hardships I deal with being a Doctor Who fan. Is that they don't grunt at me. You know I've got to mention Doctor Who. They show 6 episodes. They take 4 months off. They show another 6. Then they take 2 months off. Then they show another 2, and then they take another 3 months off.
Yeah.
It gets a bit much, but I guess they announced for the first time who the next Doctor Who is going to be today.
Do people change your Doctor Who every year or what? I mean, how's that work?
About every 4 years we change our Doctor Who's.
Okay.
And I guess this time it's going to be Peter Capaldi.
Okay.
I don't know the gentleman. There was one comment to me that he might have been in World War Z. Yeah, he was in World War Z, where he played a similar kind of character, I guess, like a crazy doctor. But I guess he's going to be the next Doctor Who, and that kind of bothers me because I missed the days when the Doctor died. It was a surprise.
The Doctor. What? It's not a surprise.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a surprise.
So I'm still stuck on this because I was trying to get him to come on the show as a guest, and because I know you're a big fan, and the only one I remember is the one I used to watch on PBS when I was a kid, which is the public broadcasting station here, and they would bring it on, and it was like the only British show I ever seen. And he would come on, and it was like liken that to Our Land of the Lost. They used to come on Saturday mornings.
Okay.
That's how it was produced, and this guy had the big scarf. And everything. I thought that was still Doctor Who. I thought maybe, I thought maybe there'd been like one, change since him. But no, there's been like 20.
Well, actually, the show started in the 1960s. Tom Baker was actually the 4th Doctor, and we are currently on the 11th Doctor.
Yeah, the 11th. Well,
and there is a 12th Doctor just announced, like I said today. Plus, at the end of the last season, they showed a sneak peek that might mean there was even another Doctor. So, there's a lot of... This is my show, folks. I'm an addict. Get off the topic, or else this will turn into the Doctor Who show.
Doctor Who show. Go ahead. Go away with it. Go ahead. Fill up another 15 minutes. Anyway, Demon Hunter, listeners around the world, the G&D exclusive... Demon Hunter?
The exclusive... Legend X.
There it is, Legend X. I got all the music down too low tonight, man. I don't understand it here.
Legend X is where we, the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show, go out and find the topics that you may or may not have heard about.
Yeah.
See what they have, and try to find out the story behind the story. These aren't just stories. These could be legends.
Tonight's legend, the Wendigo. I say Wendigo. You say Wendigo.
Apparently, it can be said as Wendigo, the Windigo, the Weendigo, the Windango, the Waindango.
Don't you forget it.
The Wittigo, with a cow.
Yeah. With a cow.
It all depends in the area that it was named. But apparently it was an Algonquin legend, Sean.
Algonquin? Now, that's an Indian type.
That's an Indian type, along the eastern coast of the United States and Canada.
Okay. Now, I got a picture. I got some pictures up for us. And we do have an Indian on a horse, and we have a book written about Wendigo. And we have a picture of what looks like a deer head with a creature/human ribcage body type thing. If you're looking on the live show right now, guys, you're seeing the live feed. What do you think, Demon Hunter? What's the description of these things? Because I've heard about them.
Well, basically, it is a creature or spirit that could either possess a human or just be a monster that had a physical transformation from a person, and now he's a monster. I guess that's either way. That's not a good thing.
The thing about these legends, just like we had Kalila Smith, of course, Kalila Smith from the Haunted History Tours of New Orleans on last week or the week before or something like that, and we was talking about the legend with the Rougarou.
Rougarou?
Yeah, well, we've been on the trail of the Rougarou before. We've been out up close and personal trying to find this thing, and down in the swamps, down in New Orleans. But all these legends seem to have... used to be a man kind of... Now, is there any curse? Because Rougarou, you'd get cursed, and they'd tell the kids, you get a curse out in the swamp, and you turn to Rougarou. Is there any curse with this thing?
Well, let's see.
Yeah, let's look into it there.
We have notes, so, I asked Sean today, what are we doing? And he said the Rougarou, and you said the Wendigo, and I said, okay, I haven't done that in a long time.
Let's do this. Let's do this, because I'll tell you, out there where we go to Octagon Hall, there is a place that I was told, and we're still looking into it. We got some leads on it, but I was told that they have found a cave out there in western Kentucky with the cave drawings of the Wendigo on the cave. And they said that they've had several eyewitness accounts of this half goat, half deer, half man, something with antlers running through the fields and stuff out there. So this would be the Native American Wendigo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what this is. Now, the one thing about the Wendigo, it's more of a spiritual. The way I've read into it, it's more of a spiritual creation than like it's a monster made by some kind of a earth thing or whatever. So it's
one of the things to consider is the fact that the legend itself led to the medical term, the Wendigo psychosis.
Really?
And this is supposed to be a cultured blood disorder. Or, I'm sorry, cultured... go ahead and have a drink with this one, folks.
Drink it up, guys.
A culture-bound disorder which features symptoms including craving human flesh and a fear of that you suffer from cannibalism.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And nice and supper.
think you may be a cannibal, you have no psychosis.
Huh, how do you think you might be a cannibal? You wake up one day and your roommate's arm's gnawed off. You'd be like, I had a strange feeling last night before we laid down.
You're sitting there going, you're watching your friend tan in the backyard and go, something smells like bacon.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know. Wendigo, we chasing these things all around the country, Demon Hunter. When are we going to get rich off this, huh? When are we going to find one of these things and it actually it might end us, be the end of us?
You know what they say, Sean, about being a monster hunter and how to become a millionaire as a monster hunter.
Yeah, they say...
Don't be playing with yourself.
No, they say if you want to become a millionaire as a monster hunter, start off as a billionaire and start by chasing monsters.
There
and before
you go.
know it, you'll be a millionaire.
Well, I don't know. I used to think, because we both started off with the ghost and the demon side of things and helping people and going to the houses and blah, 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 blah. So we started...
Hunting monsters was like our weekend game.
Yeah, Monsters was on the side because we always loved the legends and stuff like that. And after what we've seen in the paranormal world, which there's a huge percentage that's hokey, but after we've seen the real stuff, it makes me think how many of these monsters might have something too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, where you're coming from.
Yeah, there has to be something. If you sit there and you say just like ghosts aren't real, demons aren't real, the paranormal's not real, and you do the same with monsters, aliens, everything else, there's no way to know. And we already know that there's spooky stuff happening and that there's a lot of strange things out there. What do they say? Reality's stranger than fiction? So who knows? Maybe there is a half deer, half man running out there. But I would just think that they always come up with the same question. Why hasn't anybody killed one with a car?
Yeah, people are hitting deer with their cars all the time.
Right. The Wendigo, man. Tonight's legend. We're on the hunt for him. We like him. The big guy. Furry. Antlers. Wouldn't it be wild one day, Oprah wants to have her own network. She has her own network. If she wants to hit it real big, just one day be like, hey, everybody, today's guest, the Wendigo. And he'll come out and be like, hey, everybody, do with the ears. Be like, I know I've had a social disorder. I don't like people very much. He'd be out there with Bigfoot and Nessie.
I've been hiding out with my friends up in the forest.
Up in the forest. But Demon Hunter, the 8 o'clock hour is up on us. The guest segment time. It's 7:59. What do you think?
I think that's a pretty good idea there, Sean.
All right, guys. Tonight's guest from the 1971 case, The Harrisville Haunt, which is now the blockbuster new movie, The Conjuring. Everybody's going nuts over it. One of the real-life investigators that researched the case. We're going to go inside his case files and ask the tough questions about what really happened at that house. Keith Johnson, demonologist, TV show host, author, lecturer, all the above, founder of Near Paranormal, guys. Up next on the GhostMan Demon Hunter Show, we'll be right back. The band tonight, Here Come the Mummies. Demon Hunter?
I'm under the deck.
Here we go, guys. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Kalila Smith with Haunted History Tours in New Orleans, and you are listening to the GhostMan and Demon Hunter Show.
Hey, welcome back, listeners around the world. This is your Mystifying Oracle Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Hello, Demon Hunter?
That would be me.
All right, that is you. Guys, tonight's guest, we got a very special guest. I'd like to have you welcome him to studio for us. We'll welcome him too, of course. But anyway, guys, the founder of NEAR. That's a New England paranormal-based group. Author, lecturer, demonologist, Mr. Keith Johnson. Keith, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, you sound great. I can hear you perfect, too.
Oh, fantastic. Like I'm in the room.
Yeah, it sounds like you're right there. Well, you are. You're right. In spirit. In spirit.
That's true.
Hey, we're doing real good out here. Thanks for taking the time to come on. We know you've been real busy, especially here lately. And, you know, I've been thinking all week about the different types of questions to ask you. And we both met you. You've met Nathan. I've met you at the different conferences and stuff. And we're all kind of in the same field. Now, I'm not a demonologist. Nathan's done occult stuff. I've done the paranormal investigations for better half of 15 years now. And I didn't want to bore you with the same basic questions. And you know, everybody's going nuts now about the movie The Conjuring.
Right.
I guess I just wanted to jump right off with, I guess we should just get a little background on you just for the basics and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I've been into paranormal investigation for quite a few years since I was a teenager. Before it was considered cool, actually. I started out in the 70s, the early 70s, and my brother and I both were very interested in paranormal investigation. Mm-hmm. And we did that for quite a few years. We actually started out as teenagers. And we met Ed and Lorraine Warren as teenagers and decided that if they can do it, then maybe we're not as crazy as people think we are. And so we stayed with it for quite a few years. We were members of TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society, for several years. And we appeared in the TV series Ghost Hunters on the first and second season. My wife, Sandra, and I were members of the Atlantic Paranormal Society as well, and we founded New England Anomalies Research in 2004, and we're still doing it. We specialize in extreme hauntings, which, of course, includes demonology, and that's basically what we do.
That's it. That is it right there. Now, hey, tell Sandy I'm sorry. I forgot to mention her. You're the co-founder with her of NEAR. Apologize to her for me, will you, Keith? But listen, I wanted to go over a little bit about the old days. You said you met Ed and Lorraine Warren in 1977 when you were a college student with your brother, right?
Sean, before we go any further, I just wanted to throw out there are listeners out there who want to be able to send in questions tonight over the text. I'm trying to set it up so that they can send in their text because I have to use the same computer that Keith is talking to us now. So I got to make sure we don't hear ourselves on the show.
Oh,
so if
yeah.
they do me a favor, it's just sending in the chat room, sending out a question so I can see if we'd be able to read your questions now while we're going on during the show. But now go back to your question, Sean.
Keith, I was just going to say, as a paranormal investigator to another, when you first met Ed and Lorraine Warren, back in 1977, correct?
Actually, it was before then. It was actually the early 1970s where we met Ed and Lorraine Warren at Rhode Island College when they were doing the lecture there.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was going to ask you back then, when it wasn't cool to be doing the ghost stuff, what was that like as a young man sitting in there, hear these supernatural seekers there speaking on the... Were you just enthralled? Were you just couldn't get enough? What was that like?
Well, I was spellbound. I mean, this was right up my alley. I mean, people talking about haunting and that people were actually out there going around the world investigating these things. And they were talking about the things I was very interested in, of course, angelology and demonology as well, too, because that was what I was my brother and I were both very interested in that. So I mean, this was a godsend to me that people were actually lecturing about this, and they were professional people doing this. And so I figured I'm being shown that I'm on the right track when I met Ed and Lorraine Warren and I heard them lecture.
Yeah, got their approval, then you knew, huh? Big seal.
Yes, exactly. Seal of approval.
That's it, man. Demon Hunter?
I was just thinking there, things off the top of my head, since, I had only seen Ed speak before he got ill. I never really got to know him. So I never really found this out. But Sean and I were trying to figure out today, besides being out and being a demonologist, one of the only demonologists recognized by the Catholic Church who wasn't a clergy, what was his other career? How did they make money before they were out there doing their tours?
Yeah.
Well, they were actually, Ed and Lorraine were actually professional artists. That's a little known fact about them. They were professional artists. And when they were a young married couple, they actually used to paint mainly seascapes. Ed was a professional artist who painted seascapes. And he little by little began gravitating towards painting haunted houses. They would go around and they would investigate houses. They would paint the house. Then they'd knock on the door and ask, if you let us investigate, we'll give you this painting of your house. So that's,
nice.
That's kind of how they started out. So Ed was a professional landscape and seascape painter. So they made their living as commercial artists.
Right. Now, Keith, I got to tell you, out of all the talks I've done and stuff, and there's no way I'm as knowledgeable as you, especially when it comes to the demon stuff, demonology, nor do I want to be, really, because I got to put on my big boy pants to go to that level, But I think I have dealt with negative presence, of course, when I go out to some places. How does one know, besides the obvious? I mean, I've had things thrown at me very rare occurrence, but I've had a vase fly off the table when I was interviewing a lady on a case. And how does one know when it's a demon? I mean, why couldn't it just be a negative entity there? If the guy's a jerk in life, a jerk in death, how do you know it's the devil? Just with the religious aspect of it?
Well, that's one way of knowing the religious aspect, but also if you get really in depth with a case, you see the strategy behind it. Because when it is a true demonic case, there is a burning intelligence behind this that becomes evident after a while. And you see a strategy where somebody is pinpointed and it's attacking somebody in particular. Obviously, if it's a family, the whole family will be involved, but it's centering on one person, and that person is being literally ground into the dirt. That person is being brainwashed. That person is being systematically taken over bit by bit. It's working on that person in a strategic way to really annihilate and destroy that person's personality. So that's basically how you can tell when it has that burning intelligence and that strategy behind it, that it's a demonic case.
Now, most of you guys that I've spoke to had the chance to. I know Carl and some others that I'd spoke to says psychological is the first attack usually with demonic.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it breaks you down psychological, and then everything else is affected.
So what you're saying is, since psychological is the first attack, it was a demon that sent Sean into my life.
Possibly. Hatfields and McCoys here, Keith. That's how this show runs here.
Hey, just a note out there to everybody listening, I can read your texts, the chat room.
But we don't want to. Everybody wants to get a piece of Keith here, and I keep bouncing back and forth like a ping pong game here. But
I just wanted to say one thing here, Keith. I've only gotten to spend a little time with you over the years. I've actually gotten to spend a lot more time with your brother. But I've found that you two have, over the years, you've come to have different aspects to which that you two go out and face these challenges.
Yes, we do. We do take a different approach, somewhat different approach when facing these kind of situations, and that's why Sandra and I are together. We are very much on the same page as far as this goes, and we go in there as a team and as a couple. And that's how we face it. Carl and I obviously have worked together on numerous situations, numerous cases. But we do tend to take a different approach and different aspect.
And, when I've read your work and I've followed you, you really do hold strong to a very strong faith aspect to the investigation.
Yes, that's the way I go into it, and I wouldn't go into it any other way, because to me it would just be too big a danger, and I have to have an altruistic purpose because that's my motivation behind it.
Now, Keith, you still there with us?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, you kind of cut there for a second. Hey, I was going to ask you, and it's that feeling that every researcher has. At that time, when you started out and you were first doing this, I tried to explain to people that feeling you get when you're faced with the unknown and you figure out, man, this is something powerful, and this just ain't, this just isn't something hokey here. There's something going on. Can you explain to us your very first experience when something, like I know when I was at a place doing an investigation one time, I said, hey, is there anybody here? And a man said, yes, and it rang out through the house. It almost vibrated the windows. It was so loud. And it was the first audible voice that I had, without EVP or anything like that. It just was there. And it shook me back. And when something that powerful, just a voice hits you, and then the vase, of course, and all that stuff. What was your first experience, and how did you deal with it? Did you automatically start praying? What'd you do?
Well, my really first experience was when I was 5 years old, and I was in the kitchen with my family. My mother was drinking a glass of water, and all of a sudden the water just disappeared. It bubbled up and it just disintegrated, and we were very perplexed. I mean, I was a kid; I didn't know what to make of it.
Right.
But,
well, you are from Rhode Island, aren't you, Keith? And I have heard there's something in the water up there.
Rhode Island, and that kind of explains it. Yes. These things do happen in Rhode Island, yes.
But
Rhode Island is a world unto itself.
Yeah, it is.
How did going back to Sean's question? What was your reaction to seeing that happen?
Oh, we thought that was interesting. We thought that was very cool, but. Later on, there were some things in my house that did scare me, like voices outside the window, footsteps, laughter, and of course, my parents didn't believe me, but I did experience this, and it continued for some time, and then it progressed when we were in our teens. Family members began using a Ouija board to try to contact the spirits in the house, and of course, things started really letting loose then, and you start asking for a response, and you get banging on the wall, and then something's there. It's an intelligence when something instantly responds like that, and it responds in a certain pattern in 3 knots. So you knew something was there, and that it had an intelligence, and it was very active. And it was actually the spirits in our house were actually explored by Ed and Lorraine Warren as well, because Ed and Lorraine were actually very friendly with my parents as well. So they did come over and they did explore what was going on in our house, and they did find evidence of spirit activity.
Sure. Well, I tell you, I guess because, being in those settings, a lot of people listeners around the world, if you don't know, if you're not in the paranormal field and you haven't been out there yet, electronic voice phenomena, of course, you guys know what that is off television. Audible voices, disembodied voices, are just voices that are there. You don't see anybody, but the voice is there. Banging, things like that can happen on some investigations. At what point when you are a grown man, did you say... Okay, because I've had these things, whatever, the entities, I don't think they were demons at the time. I wouldn't know, but they, the whispers and the things moving around and stuff like that. And I've, said, hey, the basic questions. Who are you? Who, what, where, why? Try to get to the bottom of it for the family, stuff like that. At what point do you stop asking questions, back up and say, okay, we need the Roman ritual here. We need a priest. We need somebody outside to help. Or you, a demonologist.
Mm-hmm. I was very convinced when the activity in our home became more malicious, less friendly and more malicious. And also, of course, in the case we were discussing, the Perrin case, which is the one involved in the movie The Conjuring, that was really an eye-opener too, because there was no doubt in my mind that there was at least one very malicious spirit involved in that situation.
Yeah, I guess
it was something very unholy.
that's going to get us into the. I want to save the whole last 10 minutes we got you to talk about the, of course, the Conjuring movie and the case that you were there.
Well, since I know you're going to ask 100 questions, Sean, can I throw one out to start?
You can throw them all out, brother. You got the floor. Go right ahead there.
I just want to throw this out there because this is a question that, from reading different accounts of the actual parent case and, of course, the movie, Ed and Lorraine were very strong in believing that a demonic entity is an inhuman spirit. It's never been a human spirit. It was, it's a demon, and the power that comes from being, that malevolent, millennia-old spirit that is based in that dimension, that spirit world, gives it power and energy that a human spirit just doesn't have. However, in every account that I've read of the Perrin case, they start off thinking that this is a demonic spirit, and then it goes into the fact that it is the spirit of the woman that had lived there. And so was it a demonic spirit, or was it a human spirit that had maybe a demonic connection?
Now, my personal opinion, I know some people think it was a human spirit that had a demonic connection. My personal opinion, based on my experience in that house and with that spirit, my personal opinion was the other way around. It was a demonic spirit that had oppressed this person, in fact, more than one person, in life. The personage of Bathsheba Sherman. I believe she was oppressed by this demonic spirit while she was alive, while she was a real living person. And I believe that demonic spirit was there before her. I believe it stayed on after her. So I believe it was never a human spirit that was doing the malevolent oppressing in that house and later attacked the mother of the household.
Okay, Sean, you can go now. Yeah, that was just something that watching the movie and reading the stories just kind of threw me because, they call it Bathsheba, but they think it's a demon. So it was a little confusing for me there.
Right. It was confusing, and it was confusing in real life too, because there was a number of bizarre incidents that obviously the true story, one movie could not possibly contain everything that happened, the history of that house, the bizarre and horrific happenings in that house. And of course, I am good friends with the eldest daughter, Andrea Perrin.
Sure.
And from the moment she and her siblings moved into that house, they began experiencing activity from day one. And it was pretty much through the duration of all the time they lived there, they were experiencing spirit activity. And there was one very, very malevolent spirit there, and that spirit really victimized Andrea's mother, Carolyn Perrin, to the point where it just turned her life inside out and upside down.
Yeah, they get that look, don't they? You know the look I'm talking about, guys, where it's like the battle look. They use that in the movie Full Metal Jacket. The guy said you got to have that look in your eyes, and you can see it in
1,000-mile stare.
Yeah, the 1,000-mile stare. You can see it in like Keith's eyes. You can see it in Paranormal Researcher's eyes. It's been in the field, and once stuff starts cracking, they get that look. Did they have that look, Keith? They've been through it when you first met them?
Yes, well, Carolyn did. I would say Carolyn did, and that became that increased. It became progressively worse. That look in her eyes, where it was really, really traumatic, and in the sound of her voice and the look in her eyes, it was just she became more and more preoccupied with what was going on. Now, she was a very, very lovely, very well-spoken, intelligent woman, but what she was going through was really. It was just tearing at her personality. And she was very, very close to the point of being totally taken over, the way it was wearing down her personality.
When all the listeners tuning in tonight, listeners around the world, I know that they're chomping at the bit because I can keep you on for another 14 days talking about just demonology in general and what we do in the research field. But everybody wants to know, from start to finish, the day you showed up at the parents' doorstep, how it started, the movie The Conjuring. They want to know what your role was, Keith. From the first day you showed up, what happened?
Well, what happened, how I became involved is I was in a college-based group at Rhode Island College at the time. I had self-designed a little ad. You remember, this is the early 70s, so there was no internet available.
Right.
So, our means of communication was vastly limited. I had placed an ad in a local newspaper advertising our group services. We belonged to a group called Parapsychological Investigation and Research Organization at the time. And my brother and I were both members, and we were teenagers, of course, at the time. And it was Carolyn Perrin who answered that ad and told us that she was having terrible problems in her 18th century farmhouse. So we came out and investigated, and it was, from the moment we stepped foot on that property, you could tell something was very, very wrong there. Now, this was a nice, normal, all-American family. Roger and Carolyn Perrin and their 5 daughters. They very, very attractive family, and you wouldn't know anything was wrong until you stepped on that property. You just knew the air was thick. You could cut it with a knife, and you knew this family was really, really going through something. The daughters kind of latched on to me, and they took me by the wrist, and they gave me a tour of the entire property. And they took me upstairs, and they were showing me which bedroom they thought was the most haunted. And that's where activity really started letting loose. Of course, my brother went upstairs, too, and he looked down the hallway, and he sees this cloudy form, this mass coming right towards him. And it actually made contact with him. Now, that's what I consider very, very dangerous, when you see a cloudy mass coming at you and it actually touches you. He felt an electrical tingling sensation, and fortunately he wasn't harmed. But I was in one of the bedrooms with the children. They were telling me how frightened they were, and that's I was giving them some instructions on how they could protect themselves religiously, and that's when the activity really, really started.
Activity like what? What happened, Keith? What started?
Well, you could feel the energy building. It's very difficult to describe unless you've actually experienced it.
Like the electrostatic energy in the atmosphere.
It was very, very staticky. As if, the atmosphere was clear. It was a humid night, but the atmosphere was clear. But it was like a thunderstorm. There was no thunderstorm, but it was like an electrical storm was building right inside that room, and it was pressure. I could only describe it as a bubble. And I know Andrea and her sisters have described it that way. It was like a pressure building, electrical, but it was draining you at the same time.
Yeah.
And finally, I was telling them how to protect themselves. I used the name of Jesus. As soon as I said the name of Jesus, that's when activity let loose completely. A window that could not possibly be moved. It was stuck open. It slammed shut with tremendous force. One of the girls was slapped off the bed. She went screaming, careening off the bed. And it was just like we were contained in this electric bubble. That's the only way I could describe it.
Right.
And I kept praying. I told them not to be afraid. I used the name of Jesus twice more, and it left the room. Now, all this happened very, very quickly, but it seemed like a lot longer than it actually was. And
I bet.
When it left the room, everybody could feel the difference. It was like a breath of fresh air. They could tell. It was like somebody had switched something off. It did not leave the house, but you could tell it had left the room. And they just looked at me and said, "It's gone. It's gone from the room." And so we came downstairs pretty fast after that.
Oh, I bet. Scooby-Doo fast after that one.
Oh, yes, really.
Well, you were talking about using the name Jesus, and of course, out there, that comes from the Bible where it talks about, in my name, you can cast out demons, correct, Jesus?
Yeah. And it was cast out of that room. It was cast out of the room. And, obviously it was not my power. I don't think I was very physically imposing at the time. I mean, this was the early 70s, so my hair was down past my shoulder blades at the time. Very long hair. I was very thin, and I was, I looked like a 70s person, but
right.
it's the fact that I was using the name of Jesus and I was using it in faith that it was effective. So we did come downstairs and rejoined the rest of the family. But I'd like to say it left the house at that moment, but it didn't, because activity just increased. And Carolyn was the one who suffered the most from that, because within a week, she was visited by what appeared to be a full-bodied apparition in the wee hours of the morning, just standing, or floating rather, over her bed. And it was almost beyond description what she saw, the creature that she saw floating over her bed. It was a spirit creature. But, of course, there had been two reported hangings within that house. 2 people had committed suicide, one in the house, one outside in the barn, by hanging themselves. And whatever this spirit was, it was a woman, and the head was hanging off to one side onto the shoulder. And it was speaking some bizarre witch's chant, what sounded like a witch's chant, saying, "I'll drive you mad with fiery brooms. I'll drive you mad with death and gloom. I'll drive you out. It'll be too late. You'll be dead." And it was just, poor Carolyn was just absolutely terrorized by this spirit manifestation. And it was then that our case manager, Donna Neufeld, made a call to the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, and said, "Is there anything you can do to help these people?" And of course, Ed and Lorraine wasted no time in coming right down and becoming involved.
Right, so you were the first one to respond, basically, when the Perron family contacted you first, right?
Yes, we were the first ones on the case, and and our case manager was the one who called in Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, of course, if you did the whole story from beginning to end, it would probably be a 5-hour movie,
right?
Every single detail. And Sandra and I have seen the movie. We thought it was extremely well done. We thought it was extremely entertaining. But originally, yes, it was our case, our college group's case, and we were the ones who did call in our friends Ed and Lorraine Warren, because we were very, very close with them.
Now, a lot of people have, of course, it's a movie, so there are license taken with it. But a lot of people have questioned some of the inaccuracies in the movie. Simple things like I noticed, like the basement being boarded up the way it was, which I kind of find it hard to believe the whole basement was boarded up when that's where the heater was. There had to be heat in the house at some time, and but the fact that you guys weren't mentioned at all, and there were actually numerous suicides on the property, not necessarily that house itself, but the original property. There were numerous suicides in that area that they don't even get into.
So this whole area was the bizarre happenings happened in this whole area of the surrounding property. There were instances of 2 people freezing to death outside when they were literally yards away from the front door. And in 1883, Mr. John Arnold committed suicide, December 1883, by drinking horse liniment. It's just this incredible things that really bizarre and have not much explanation to them. It is why these things happen in this area. Just over and over, it seemed to be so repetitious, and we'll never know the entire answer. The house was built in 1736. It's just so much went on, and as far as the basement being boarded up, well, that's loosely based on the fact that reportedly a spirit told one of the daughters that there are soldiers buried or stacked against the wall, one of the walls. Of course, the wall was never opened up, and subsequent owners have boarded that up.
Right.
So now, part of the house is boarded up, so you will never know.
Did you ever go back, Keith, after you seen the young lady thrown off the bed? Did you ever go back to assist with Ed and Lorraine?
I didn't. I have been back there since. My wife Sandra and I have been back since. My brother and Donna did go back too. They went back with Ed and Lorraine, but it was, shortly after that, Ed and Lorraine did take over the case completely. So we did not have much involvement with the case after Ed and Lorraine became involved.
And of course, at the end of the story, the Perrin family, right? Perrin?
Yeah.
Perrin family,
Yeah.
they end up leaving the residence at that time, right? Once the house is cleansed?
Well, actually, they stayed another 10 years.
Oh, there's a movie inaccuracy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Altogether, the Perrin family lived there 10 years. They did experience spirit activity in that house for a full 10 years. The spirit activity was not totally eradicated while they lived there. But, it seemed that family was the catalyst, because nobody that lived there since ever experienced activity to that extent. No other residents. In fact, there's the people who live there now. They're a very nice couple. They're an elderly couple, and their privacy is being terribly invaded since the movie came out.
Yeah, I heard.
People have been coming onto their property, onto their lawn at 2 a.m, peeking in the windows, thinking they're going to see things flying about, and
Right.
It's just not happening. It's like the perfect storm. It's been described as the perfect storm. For some reason, when the Perrin family came in there, everything happened. They were the catalyst. Now, the couple that live there, they're a very spiritual family. They're very, very elderly, grandparent type, and they are just not experiencing this type of activity. So, but still, their privacy is unfortunately being invaded. And I'd like to come out in a plea to ask people, please do not upset these people anymore, because there are people coming and invading their privacy, and
Sure.
they've about had it. You can understand that.
Yeah, leave them alone, folks. You're just you're hurting old people. Leave them alone.
Hey, I've got a question for you, Keith. But first, I want to throw out to you, Sean. We've been corrected by Ghost Chaser. It's the 1,000-yard stare.
1,000-yard stare. Okay, the weathered stare.
Keith, I wanted to throw this out to you because obviously, working as an occultist and studying under demonologists and things like that, I've been called out on several of these cases over the years. And one thing I don't really talk about, I don't think I've even talked about with you really, Sean, is the nightmares that can occur from being involved with these cases. And I've had horrible nightmares over the years with, where it's I can't see the demon, but I know there's a demon. I can hear the demon. I'm facing off against the demon, and until I start praying, it just keeps attacking. And I've literally jumped out of bed in the middle of the night praying out loud when this has been happening to me. And I wondered if this is something that, like, being involved with these kind of cases, if you face these kind of physical and mental things that happen.
Sure. Yeah, I've had that. I've had recurring nightmares where I'm facing demons, and I have to pray. And it is a very lucid dream where it's like, even if I'm aware it's a dream, I still have to use that religious protection. I still have to pray and rebuke these spirits in the name of Christ and in the name of God. And it's like, even though it's a dream, it's like a real life situation.
Now, from a personal point of view, do you think these are dreams, or do you think these are attacks?
I think it's. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. I think it is, in a way, an influence. I think it is kind of a literal attack. I think there are spirits involved, and I really think they do come at you when you're at your most vulnerable, which is, of course, your subconscious is vulnerable when you're asleep. So, yeah, I do think sometimes they do come at you. And I know that the members of the Perrin family still have problems to this day. Sometimes they are seemingly attacked when they're alone or when they're asleep. Or even sometimes when they're wide awake, they have experienced activity. It's not as if they're totally done with this, because they did leave the house, yes, but that doesn't mean that something didn't follow them.
Sure.
They might not experience what they did, but they still have experiences and they still do have activity.
I know my wife has freaked out a few times because I've jumped out of bed speaking, like doing Latin prayers. She thought I was possessed. It's
Yeah. Well, you know,
That sounds like when Sandra and I were first together, she was wondering if she was married to the Exorcist.
yeah, that's the thing, I guess. When I was 13 years old, Keith, we were Baptist. I was raised in a haunted home on the south side of Indianapolis, and I was raised Baptist, very strong Baptist faith, my folks were. And I actually snuck in the back, and my dad was a deacon of the church, and there was they didn't call him an exorcist. I don't know what the Baptists call him, maybe a cleanser or whatever. I don't know. They were in the back room, and they were casting this devil.
Oh, he's a deliverer.
A deliverer, okay. They were in the back room, and I snuck up, and this is a true story, I snuck up above, and I seen the lady sitting in the chair, and he said that he was going to cast the demon out of this lady, and I remember my dad was all fired up, because he said, you know, God didn't do that in the Bible. He sent him into swine, and that's why. But anyway, the minister or the evangelist or whatever it was, he cast the demon out of that woman and into his wife so he could communicate. Sound kind of hokey, right? But he did it. And I remember him asking, I remember got the Legion, which of course I didn't know what Legion and all that meant when I was 13. Now I do, which you would think be a very common answer for a demon or a person faking it. But I'd seen that, and like I said, I was raised in a haunted home where things would stack themselves, and we'd see apparitions every once in a while, things would move, blah, blah, blah. So I spent the rest of my life looking for this stuff, just like the rest of you here. And I guess my question is, late at night, when Nathan and I or whatever, we're sitting around in these homes, or whether it be for pleasure or trying to help a family or whatever, why doesn't these things happen more? I mean, if something's truly demonic and it has the power to throw me or throw someone against the wall, why don't we see more of this?
These things exist in another wavelength. You know, they're not really in our. It's almost like another dimension. It's like a radio wavelength. They
Right.
don't exist in our time frame, so to speak. So to cross over requires a great deal of energy for them to manifest. And that requires a weakening, or they have to line up with it. It's very, very difficult to explain, and nobody really understands it at all, but they have to line up with our wavelength to get through, and that requires them being given permission. There are cosmic laws that they have to follow, and they can only do so much without being given permission. And their job is to trick people into granting them permission. There has to be a weakening in the I don't know what you want to call it, the fabric, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There has to. Some people refer to it as a portal. There has to be a weakening in that for them to get through, and granting them permission will open a portal for them to gain access. And the more permission they have, the easier it will be for them to get through. But they cannot force people to. They cannot force people to do things against their will. So their whole modus operandi is to trick people. It's deception. They have to deceive. They have to lie. They have to create fear, or they have to seem sugary sweet at first. They have anything to deceive people and persuade them into granting them some kind of permission and some kind of access to be able to function in our wavelength, so to speak. And I don't know if any of that makes sense what I just said, but that's basically. Oh, sure it does.
Now, Keith, do you think, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What were you saying?
That's basically why they need permission.
Yeah.
And without being granted permission, they just cannot take over. So they look for ways to deceive. And if they can create a portal, an access way, that's what they'll use to get into our wavelength and to create havoc in our lives. That's where Ouija boards come in. That can be used as a conduit. It's not that the Ouija board has power. It's the fact that somebody is saying, yes, I give you permission to come through. I'm opening up the portal. I'm opening up the phone lines for you. I'm giving you my credit card number. That's what has to be done.
It's interesting because over the years, people watch the movies and they see what's done in the movies, and they all think that once you know the demon's name, you have control over it. And I tell people, I'm always sitting there with people going, they're like, well, we asked the demon its name and it said this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there going, well, two things. One, what makes you think it told you the truth?
Right.
And two, what were you going to do with the name once you got rid of it? Because you don't know what to do with the name to get rid of the demon. So, basically what you did was you got it to get you to give it a name and thereby give it power in that place. And people sit there going, but it worked in the movies.
Right. It works in the movies. That's true. Yep, it works in the movies.
Do you think the majority, the reason why we get a lot of electronic voice phenomena being that of children, little girls laughing or little boys laughing, do you think maybe that's linked to the sugary sweet statement you made earlier?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Definitely. It's interesting because I don't get a lot of that. I used to. But I do not, on electronic voice phenomena, Sandra and I do not get a lot of that sugary, sweet, childlike thing. We used to, but we don't now. We've gotten a lot of that for years, and I think that's because, I don't know, maybe it's because we know what it's up to, and so we don't get a lot of that childlike voices and stuff like that. Because I do believe a lot of the childlike voices is a deception. I think it is a ploy that we will feel sympathetic, and it's something you gravitate to when you hear this childlike voice. And I used to get that a lot when I was younger, but I don't get that anymore.
It's funny because the very first, when I'm out with Sean, we do get a lot of that, Sean, like at Whispers. We get a lot of that sugary, sweet little girl voices, things like that. Mm-hmm. When the very first EVP I got on my own was a very crabby voice going, "We're not leaving."
Oh, really? Wow, that's quite, well, for your first one, that's something, huh?
Yeah.
We're not leaving.
Well, so I've heard you say before, one more statement and answer from you, Keith, and I'm going to turn you over to the rest of the guys here. I've heard you say before on previous interviews over the years, electronic voice phenomena can be the same thing, basic principle, as using a Ouija board. If these guys are going to go out here, us researchers, do electronic voice phenomena, how can they protect themselves before they do it?
It's it's always a good thing not to take it at face value. Whatever is said, do not take it at face value. The two most common EVPs that Sandra and I get are no and get out. We get no and get out. That's what we get repeatedly. That's the two most common ones we get. You can get EVPs, but just don't take it at face value. Always enter that prayerfully when you're doing an EVP session. Do it very prayerfully. Pray for protection. The difference between that and a Ouija board is that you're using an electronic device rather than your own motor control. As with a Ouija board, you're using your own senses, your own motor control, which makes it more dangerous. But still, you are collecting spirit voices, and so it should be prayed over. You should enter it in a pray for protection while you're doing this, and realize that there are many, many deceptive spirits out there, and it is a whole different world from us. And that a lot of times, instead of a deceased person or something wandering around, that it's not what it appears to be. And these spirits can be very, very crafty, very deceptive. They do have the wisdom of the ages. We were a week ago, Sandra and I were at Bathsheba Sherman's burial spot. We were just on an outing, and I was recording. We weren't actually asking questions. We just happened to be audio recording. And while I was there, I simply commented that there's concrete stones holding the cemetery fence up. And, of course, I get an EVP that says no, in a male voice. It says no. And, that was not Bathsheba Sherman talking to me. That was what I consider a spirit, was just wandering there. That was, not giving me any information. It was just disagreeing. It was just saying something to disagree. So, right. I wouldn't call that a lost spirit or anything positive at all. So it's always a good idea to protect yourself when you're doing any kind of spirit recording at all, because it does have its inherent dangers.
It's a protect yourself before you wreck yourself scenario, Sean.
That's it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
I remember somebody once said, sooner or later, after you go out looking for these things for so many times, it'll come looking for you. And I think that's true over the years. Don't you, Keith?
Yeah. Yes, I think that you go asking, you keep knocking, it's going to knock back, and it's going to come looking for you. And there's no question that, once you start investigating, you are watched. I mean, you're looking for these things, but they're looking back. And anybody who doubts that, sooner or later they'll find out that they are being watched as well. Just too many uncanny, bizarre things will happen.
Absolutely.
And yes, I've gotten the 3 knocks on the door. That doesn't mean my house is infested with spirits. I don't keep an occult museum like like Ed and Lorraine did, and of course Lorraine still does. But John Zaffis keeps he has his occult museum.
Yeah.
I don't happen to have haunted objects in my house, but still, I don't do EVP sessions in my house because I just don't want to risk inviting anything in. I keep that outside for investigation.
Home is off limits. Absolutely.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm always amazed when groups, they just don't have the time to get out to a house, and they'll tell people to do their own EVP session. And I always sit there going, never tell someone to do their own EVP session. One, they're going to hear something that scares them out of their own house. And two, they're going to be involved, they're pretty much interacting. So
right. The very first EVP that my brother and I captured was when we lived at home, and it was in our basement. It was in our cellar. My brother had been doing a number of experiments trying to capture spirit activity, and then he was recording one of his sessions one time, and lo and behold, he got a very disturbing EVP, and it was actually a very low voice in slow motion, and it was shortly after we'd come back from the Perrin case. It was not too long after that, and it was a voice in slow motion. Somebody sped the recording up to 9 times its original speed. It turned out to be a woman's voice saying, "Carl, help me." Now, when something personalizes you, that's a little unnerving, I think, when something calls your name and actually personalizes you.
Now, Keith, I know you got to go. You've already stayed on 20 minutes past your interview time with us, and we can't thank you enough, bub. But I did want to share with you guys, I was doing an EVP one time, and I didn't think I got anything. But I played it backwards. And I know this sounds cliche and weird and all that, but I did it. I was doing EVP, and I said, man, something's there. I played it backwards. It was rotten hell, just like that on the EVP. It sounded like the actual audio recording slowed down just for that statement to be made. But I got to admit, man, I love it. I loved helping the people, and I loved learning about it. But like you said, Keith, it's out there. Things are out there in the shadows that we don't know about, and we got to be safe.
That kind of goes into what Keith was saying before, Sean, about it taking place on a different timeline. When something's speaking to you from another timeline, another dimension, how do you know how it's going to come through?
Absolutely. And how do we know that we're even dealing with the spirits of the dearly departed and not just the demonic? That's kind of a big question out there, huh?
Very true. Very true.
If you ask my mom, they're all demons. So
yeah, my dad says that too. Okay, Keith, I know you need to go. Could you stay on do you need to stay on the line real quick, Demon Hunter?
Yeah, just for a minute after we're done.
Keith, where can everybody find your books and get a hold of you, sir, if they need to?
You can find us at nearparanormal.com, www.nearparanormal.com, and you can find our books on there, Paranormal Rallies and Paranormal Rallies 2, on nearparanormal.com. And please watch our show, Ghost Star Near. It's our paranormal talk show. You can find that on our site or on youtube.com.
There you go, Keith. Hey, I can't thank you enough. Demon Hunter, I felt like we got back to our roots tonight.
It did. It felt like that, didn't it?
Great.
All right, guys, we're going to close out the show. Hey, special thanks to tonight's guest, founder of The Near, author, lecturer, demonologist, Keith Johnson. Thanks so much, Keith. Special thanks, creations by Souls Denounce. Guys, check them out, soulsdenounce.com. Midnight Syndicate for the tunes. Hey, from the haunted backroads of America, this has been another exclusive Spook Show interview from your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Don't go changing America. You know we won't, Demon Hunter.
Cause we love you.
We love you guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday.